Hello and welcome to the Understanding Narcissists YouTube channel. This video is going to be not a correction, but I want to kind of further explain the concept of dependence, particularly in the context of, well, of course, how it pertains to narcissists, and probably in other people as well, but narcissists, again, are really kind of the height of this idea, and that is, I talk about dependence. Naturally, you wonder about, well, if they're dependent on you, what does that mean as far as a definition of independence? Which is to say that, well, if they were independent, then they wouldn't need you. There's kinds of these two opposite ends, one being independent and one being dependent, and they may be defined depending on each other, defined with respect to the other. And the problem, as you think about it, it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense if I use the word dependent and you start thinking about, well, what does independent mean? It certainly doesn't apply, if you're wrapped up with a narcissist, it doesn't really apply to you either, because you're still dependent. You know, that's what they used to call codependence. I think that term is falling out of favor now in this psychology community, but even so, as a concept, it's, I think, very effective and very accurate in describing really a narcissistic relationship, which is two codependents who are dependent on each other in dysfunctional ways, and further sort of fortify the dysfunctional behaviors in each other. And so therein lies the dependence. They both give each other what they need, one being a narcissistic supply, one being validation, and a host of other things. But just to stick with the narcissist being an authority in your life, even though they're the ones who are dependent. What happens when that dependence is brought up in any way, when it's really enunciated, when you really surface it, the idea that they may not be the independent, outgoing, adventurous type that they make themselves out to be to you and many others, there is a formidable, I don't really want to use this word, but I guess it's kind of a complex that arises in an attempt to show you just how independent they are. And that's usually in this very masculine, maybe even apathetic way, which is that they simply don't care and nothing you say really bothers them. That very concept that they're dependent is absurd, or especially that they're fragile, that they have a very fragile ego, and that they're very sensitive in their self-image, and they do all these things to prop up that self-image. Of course, they think that's an absolute absurd notion. But then as we dig deeper, like I was just talking about with dependence and independence, and then being independent, which is not really accurate. There are independent people, and in particular, compared to them, we are independent. We have that potential within us. They're trying to play that they're the independent figures, that you in fact are dependent on, but it's just not the case. We get to a more precise and succinct definition of their dependence, which is really called, finally I'm getting to it at 4 minutes, anti-dependence. The response they have when faced with their own dependence, when faced with their own fragility, and how much they need others to survive. That response in trying to go to extremes, like they do with everything, opposites principle at work, that itself is anti-dependence. And, by the way, it is also the very definition of extreme emotional dependence and their reaction to it. It would not be so valuable, it would not be so important, it would not be such an extreme reaction if they were not dependent. So if you see an anti-dependent reaction from them, now I'm not saying to trigger this in them, you'll just see it naturally, it will arise. They will show you, hey, I don't need you. I'm fine. Doesn't bother me. Everything's great. I can do anything by myself. I'm fine. I don't need any particular. I'm not in any way reliant upon others. They have an extreme approach, relationship, and way of, it's really a way of acting out their dependence. So that anti-dependent reaction is a great indicator of that. Now, there are other types of people that are like that too. I find, again, narcissism and narcissists tend to be extreme in that regard. But think about more of the anti-dependence model than just, oh, they're dependent and they need you and they're trying to hide it from you kind of thing. I find it to be more comprehensive and more useful all around than simply having two opposite ends, independent, dependent, because it's really not. Yes, they're independent people, and like, okay, I think we're independent, but it's still not. I mean, everybody, there is a sense in which we're all collective and we rely on each other, and that's the very thing. And if you're independent, you understand that. You understand that responsibility, and you have that functional relationship with people. That, hey, we rely on other people. We're not dependent upon them. So that's where independence comes from. We're not dependent upon them, but we understand our relationships with people in a mature way. We understand the mutual part of it. And narcissists do not. They actually think, they won't say it, but they actually think they're really totally self-reliant and self-sufficient. And of course, the opposite is true. They need people in every facet of their lives because they simply cannot function unless they have that fodder, those sheep, those people to manipulate, as I think as they would probably describe us or think of us. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope it was insightful. Like it if you do. Share it with somebody you think might benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below. Love seeing your comments. Very insightful, very interesting, and improves the quality of the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.